Hello, welcome to another episode of Bloodhaus, the show where we talk about art house horror movies. I'm your host, Joshua Conkel.
And I'm just pleased to be here. I normally work in my home all day long, but I'm here to help you, Josh. Anything that I can do to make you happier, it's the least I can do. It pleases me so much. There's a spot on your screen, but I'll let you get it.
If time is your enemy, make friends with Drusilla. How's it going?
I've been debating switching to easy off so many times. Things are good. I don't know. I feel like I was at the peak of my busy season this past week in like every facet of my life, and it has been crazy. And I finally broke through the barrier. I am now in a weekend of no responsibilities and nothing to do and no obligations, and it feels incredible. It feels so good. A lot of things that I've been working on for the past few months are starting to trickle out into the world, and I can kind of sit back and relax a little bit. There's still a lot of Halloween events coming up. There's still a lot of planning on my part. There's still a lot of things to do, and there's still a good bit of work, but for the most part, the sheer stress mountain of the year has kind of peaked this past week. And then ideally, hopefully, the forecast looks like the rest of the year is going to be just quite a bit easier. So
good. That's good.
I'm looking forward to it. I love this time of year. It's the autumnal vibes are trying to leak in, even though it's balls hot in LA right now.
Oh, is it?
a little bit. But
yeah.
You know, we've cracked out the cider. The Halloween decorations are everywhere. It's been very, very nice. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm up in Washington State at my parents' house. Very pretty up here. Not very cold. It's 60 degrees, so it's a nice chilly. And yeah, I'm feeling the autumn vibes as well, although it's extremely boring here. Where I grew up, it's a rural county called Kitsap County, and it's very big, and my parents live on the north side of it, and it takes about an hour to drive to the south side of the county. And I just did that last night for fun because I didn't have anything else to do. But I've been helping my parents a lot around the house, cleaning a lot, and just getting some nature time and some hikes in, and yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I mean, the air is clean, the taxes are low.
Yeah, it's great. Great schools.
Perfect for the kids. I'm glad that you're up there with family, and I'm glad that you're having a good time, even if it is a little
it's so
tedium.
Yeah. You can't go see any movies here either unless you want to see Joker 2 or Beetlejuice, which I emphatically do not.
I mean, yeah. That's not for you. You don't need to be doing such things.
I could go to the city. It's only an hour to the ferry, and then the ferry ride is a half hour to downtown Seattle. So it's not that far, but I just feel too lazy.
But honestly, a ferry sounds delightful to me.
It's really pretty. Tourists love it. If you grow up here, it's the subway to you, so it doesn't feel special. There's just so many ferries to so many different islands here, and it's just it's like the subway. But it is pretty.
As a hick from Shalik, being from Indiana, when I moved to Chicago, the subway was such a big deal. And whenever I go to visit New York, it's just it's very fun to me. As soon as I land, to get my little Metro card, and then just take the subway everywhere. And when I first lived in LA, I lived in Koreatown, so I could take the LA subway, even though there's 3 stops on it, and that's it. I do miss it, and I've taken a ferry 1 or 2 times, but still the novelty of it is there enough for me. And all of those things, any kind of subway, any kind of train travel, any kind of streetcar, anything like that, I'm always just very much let's go for a ride, let's go for a drive. It doesn't matter where we're going, we'll find something.
Yeah, I hear you. I do miss the subway. I really missed the subway when I was still drinking, so I was drunk driving around all over Los Angeles all the time. Then I really missed the subway. Years ago when I still lived
Yeah.
in New York, my friend Amber moved from New York to LA, and you know, we were in our 20s, of course. And so I was like, what do people do when they drink in LA? And she's like, we just drunk drive everywhere. And that's true. Like if you're in LA on a Thursday or Friday or Saturday night and someone is in front of you on the freeway and they're going 10 miles under the speed limit, you know that person is drunk out of their
Or
minds.
stoned.
Or
Yeah.
stoned, because nobody ever drives the speed limit, and certainly not under it.
Yeah, there's an entire on the highway that runs behind my house that I have to take the exit off to like get straight to my house. The far right lane, I don't know why, consistently is like cars going like 10 to 20 under the speed limit, like
All drunk,
in
all
a
high.
line. Just it's just one lane,
God.
like almost nightly, and I'm like, that's the drunk lane. I mean, it's the same thing in Indiana, of like,
Yeah.
you know, at 21 you start, at 16 you can drive, at 21 you start drinking, and at 18 you start learning how to drive drunk.
Meet in the middle. The skills converge at age 18. What have you been up to? Have you seen anything cool?
I have been watching a lot of movies. It's Halloween season, so like it's usually when I'm working throughout the year, I'll have some like movies on, or maybe just like some like background TV shows. But like now is the perfect time of year that I can just like whip out VHS tapes of like the Scream franchise and just like have them on in the background all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but put something on that I'd never seen before recently, and the way that I was just anticipating it to just kind of be like fine or like vaguely okay, because I'd heard about it for years and I kind of knew a little bit the setup to it, and it didn't sound that compelling to me, and it was on Criterion Channel, and I thought, why the hell not, I'll give it a shot. And yeah, it really blew me away. Do you know The Entity with Barbara Hershey?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
super fucked up movie.
That So all I knew about it was the setup of like Barbara Hershey is like a single mom with two kids and she gets raped by a ghost, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a very like late 70s early 80s concept. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. And like I love Barbara Hershey. I love a lot of movies from the era. And but like I don't know why I passed on it. Maybe because of the whole rape of it all. I was probably just like,
Yeah.
this is gonna be really exploitative. In fact, it has a lot more in common with Rosemary's Baby, or
Yeah.
with like An Unmarried Woman. Like there's like, or like Kramer versus Kramer. There's like 70s like women's independent like dramas and comedies like Claudine and stuff like that. It's like she's a working class single mother of two who is dating a man that's constantly traveling, so he's like only kind of in town,
Yeah.
and a mother of three actually, because she has like a teenage son too. And when she gets like just out of nowhere violently assaulted by an entity that is not visually there, which is like every single assault is set to like thrash music almost.
The score is really abrasive.
It's like, it reminds me a lot of like Wild at Heart
Yeah.
or like Nine Inch Nails, but it's from
Yeah.
1982. And it treats it very seriously. She like spends a lot of time with Ron Silver, who's a psychiatrist who takes a slightly more than personal interest in her, and is very convinced that like this is a manifestation of trauma.
Yeah.
And that like, and we learn throughout the movie that she has had a very hard life, and that making it to where she is with her family, like even though it's not like quote unquote conventional, she is like a massive step up, and she's like should be very 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 proud of herself. And from like the horrible things that she's gone through, she had like sexually abusive priest father and like all these
Yeah.
other things. And so there's a lot of like, well, this is all in your mind and all this stuff. And slowly, as the movie goes on, it starts to like blur those lines. It never clarifies it one way or another. Um, it brings in like psychic researchers, which feel like straight out of like the Dan Aykroyd screenplay rule books. It's
Mm-hmm.
really like it really brought me in, and it like really moved me emotionally. And there's the ending doesn't answer or resolve anything in like a conventional way.
Yeah.
Um, it's and then it doesn't start like Fargo with like this is based on a true story, but then when it ends, it says this was based on a true
Yeah.
story, which is like so much more the better way of doing it. And it was directed by Sidney J. Furie, who was such a like weird like journeyman director who made like Lady Sings the Blues and the Ipcris File and like
Mm-hmm.
Ladybugs and Superman 4. Um, but like it was a fucking banger. I really, really, really loved it. I
I really like that movie.
was
Two
blown
things.
away.
You just mentioned Ladybugs. I wanted to tell you that's one of the VHS tapes I bought for you in Oregon that I still need to give you.
The Rodney Dangerfield movie?
Yes.
I've never seen it, but
it's
fuck yeah.
so shitty. So there's that. Second of all, is there something happening with the entity? Because I suddenly see everybody posting about it like it's in the zeitgeist again out of the blue. Or is that just my anecdotal...
I mean, it might be that, but I think it's truly just like it's on Criterion Channel right now.
Oh, well, there you go. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Scream Factory put it out a few years ago, and I think that is going out of print or is now out of print because it's a Fox title, so it's a Disney title, so they can't access it anymore or something like that. But yeah, it just popped up on Criterion Channel in their like horror effects collection with like The Fog and American Werewolf in London and like The Fly. And I've seen all of those movies, and The Entity was the only one on the list I hadn't seen. So I was like, I'll just give this a shot. And it truly blew me away.
It's a great movie.
I was very, very, very impressed with it. I just also like, I love Barbara Hershey. I think Barbara Hershey's so incredible.
Yeah.
I always loved her in Hannah and Her Sisters. I think she's incredible in Last Temptation of Christ. I mean, she's having a comeback with Strange Darling.
She's great in Strange Darling. Those scenes with her and Ed Begley Jr., was it? They're so good. They're like part of basically my favorite parts of the movie. Is those two. The breakfast that they make is so insane.
I think about it a lot. That movie.
I was like, are these characters on hospice? Because that's the only time you would eat this insane breakfast, is if you knew you wouldn't live to see tomorrow. But no, they're just living their life.
They're just stoned hippies.
Yeah.
Who live as if there is no tomorrow. So I get it.
Exactly. Somewhat like my parents who I'm visiting right now. I watched a movie last night that you're going to be shocked that I have never seen before. And in fact, it's from the same year as our movie of today. And I had some similar feelings about it in a weird way. But I watched for the very first time in my life, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
You'd never seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Isn't that crazy? I know. I one of our listeners on Twitter said to me like, "Oh, I can't believe you haven't seen this." And it's like, "I promise you I'll watch it." And I don't remember who that listener was anymore. So if you're listening, hi, thank you. I finally watched it. I loved it a lot. I had no idea how many incredible character actors are stuffed into that movie.
Yeah. Christopher Lloyd, Danny DeVito,
Brad Dourif. A lot of those guys, quote unquote, the people whose names you never know, but you see them in 100 movies, like Sidney Lassick, I think his name is. He plays the English teacher in Carrie, and he's an alligator. He's in it. That guy with the weird eyes from Fast Times and Ghost, with
and
like
Buffy.
The weird and Buffy, yes.
Yeah.
The weird looking guy from The Hills Have Eyes. It's just packed, and
it's packed.
Some of those men I've never seen Danny DeVito that young, or Christopher Lloyd that young. Brad Dourif is at his most gorgeous. He's so handsome and charming. It's a great 5-star movie, of course. But here's the thing. I couldn't access it in the way I knew that the movie wanted me to, based on the time that it was made. So the movie wants you to side with these inmates who are being held captive, who aren't allowed to be free. And, Nurse Ratched, I know from context clues and the culture, is meant to be this like great cinematic villain, but I didn't read her that way. I was like, she doesn't do anything wrong basically in the entire movie. And it was just hard to access in the way that I knew the movie wanted me to access it because of just the passage of time,
Yeah.
and especially living 40 years after Ronald Reagan got rid of almost all of the mental institutions in the United States. I didn't want these men to get out because I knew that they couldn't cope in the outside world. I just saw Nurse Ratched as a competent woman who's doing her job, and it seems like a little cold and officious, but not a villain.
She does dole out lobotomies.
True, but only after he tries to strangle her to death. It's not good.
Yeah.
But I did love it. I think it's an incredible movie. Very actory. It's the kind of movie that actors love to be in because they just get to go ham. But yeah, I had a funny experience with that in that regard. I was like, I'm not reading this the way that people in the 70s read this.
Well, it's a Ken Kesey book that's based on. Yeah. And Ken Kesey's such a big counterculture, like LSD figure of San Francisco at the time. And then the director is Milos Forman, and it's like his second or third, like the fucking like goat that is Milos Forman. It's like his second or third movie in America after being like kicked out of the Czech Republic after making Loves of a Blonde and Fireman's Ball and stuff like that. And so it was very much a major counterculture film at the time, with like that was deeply viewed as like the asylum as a metaphor for capitalism and like conservative America.
Right.
So it is interesting that it is casting Nurse Ratched as like this matriarchal villainess character to lord over and not like a male doctor acting in that role, which I do think the gender politics of that movie are something that is most interesting about the way that it's aged, because it's like a rowdy bunch of dudes want to watch the baseball game, but she won't let us. But I do think that there's a really the ending of that movie is in so many different ways heartbreaking,
devastating.
Yeah, and I know it was also very much a reaction to Vietnam, especially in terms of both Nicholson and Durif's characters. I love the ending of it so much. It was a movie that I watched in like very early high school, and the big response that I had to it at that age was very much like that kind of teenage angst, like both like overwhelming like joy and like anger and then sadness at the end, which is exactly how you want to hit like a 15-year-old with a movie. But then it was also the like, oh, so this was the inspiration for the Basket Case music video. Got it.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, its legacy can be felt a lot of places. One of the first things I thought like 10 minutes into the movie, this is so stupid, but I was like, oh, it's like Girl Interrupted.
Yeah,
because I grew up on that movie, and of course, Girl Interrupted is a true story based on a memoir. But you still see the legacy of this in that movie completely.
Meanwhile, I haven't seen Girl Interrupted, so
it's pretty great if you love Winona Ryder as much as I do.
I do. I've only avoided it because it looks fucking sad.
It is really sad, but it kind of hits all the same notes. It kind of is this movie.
Yeah.
But a more mainstream 90s version. But it's also set in the 60s. It's a pretty great movie and a great book too.
I really need to see it. It's always impressed me how a movie like Cuckoo's Nest has like really stood the test of time and kind of remained this kind of like central figure of like important 70s cinema. I feel like it doesn't get talked about lately as much as it did say like 20 years ago. But it's very, very, very impressive how that stood. I also feel like something about Jack Nicholson movies from the 70s kind of stand up a little bit better than others, because I feel like that and Chinatown and Five Easy Pieces are kind of the like go-to like
And The Shining, which is 1980, but feels
Yeah,
like a 70s movie.
very much so. Um, yeah, I feel like those movies, for some reason, are people's like more accessible 70s movies in some way,
Hmm.
shape, or form. There's something about them, and maybe something about his performance, or something about them that he was drawn to the script. So that's why he's in it. That feel very ahead of their times and like relatable now. I mean, there's so many bits in 5 Easy Pieces that people still quote today, even if they don't know 5 Easy Pieces.
Yeah.
Like the fucking restaurant scene is like just like endlessly like relevant all the time. Um I deeply love those movies so much, and I don't always think of Cuckoo's Nest in that form because I kind of think of it again as like a theater reactory movie.
It's
Um
totally a theater reactory movie. It's like it's very 70s in that it has almost no plot. It's like a hangout movie, kind of. You know what I mean? Which I like about it.
yeah. Um do you know so this is the most like this is such a weird anecdote, but such like the most like 90s response ever. Um and this isn't a remake, but I always thought of it and kind of see it as a remake. Um, there is a movie from 1989, also with Christopher Lloyd, but
Hmm.
starring Michael Keaton and Peter Boyle, called The Dream Team. Do you know about this?
I know about it. I haven't seen
Okay.
it.
I always like in my head think of it as like an 80s remake of Cuckoo's Nest because it's about Christopher Lloyd, Peter Boyle, Michael Keaton, and Stephen First from Animal House as like
Ooh.
remember him as like patients at a mental facility who are like allowed to have a day out and when their doctor like either goes missing or gets killed or something, and like the four of them just like have a wacky adventure in the city and like have to help each other and fend for each other. And it's so very much the like late 80s early 90s like wacky high concept version of Cuckoo's Nest of the like the producers like yeah, I heard about that, I get that, I know what it's doing, but it got all sad in the end. Here's what
Yeah.
we're gonna do, we're gonna make them kooky and they're gonna go into New York City and they're gonna try and get a hot dog and they're not gonna know what it is because of the
Yeah.
loonies.
I did think a lot about like mental illness and the shift in our culture from like collectivism when you really very much were pressured to fit in, and so
Mm-hmm.
mental illness was very stigmatized until today when in my view it's kind of the opposite. Like everyone wants to be mentally ill and they're self-diagnosing because it makes them feel special, um, and everything is about individualism. So I was just like sort of tracking that progression from
Yeah.
like the 50s to the 70s versus now, where everything now is about individualism and there is no collectivism. Like we
Mm-hmm.
can't even get people to wear masks during a deadly pandemic.
Yeah.
So like imagine if we had a war and we asked people to ration butter or tin like we did in the war, like people would not
Right?
do it. So I don't know, I've been thinking about that issue a lot in terms of like the boomers, which is relevant to this movie and the movie we're talking about today, as like a turning generation from one culture to the one that we're in today.
Mm-hmm. I and in how long that we've been doing this, did you and I pick somehow both the most thematically relevant separate movies to watch for the main feature? This is
Kind of.
entirely accidental, but my God. Uh, I should also bring up because I've been wanting to tell you about this all week. Ivory sent me something from Twitter that someone posted like a TikTok. There was like a screenshot of it, um, of like like a vague like panning over of like dishes in a sink, and the caption was like, this is the nightmare that your non-binary roommate from Portland has every night. And someone like quote tweeted it and was like, no, but this is real because I have dishes trauma, and when I tried to work through it, my roommate got mad at me and told me to do the dishes, and now I don't do them anymore because it freaks me out. And everyone on Twitter has been like, dishes trauma, you have dishes trauma.
I feel like our culture's finally starting to take a turn on this, but it's like, you know what? I'm going to write a self-help book and it's called You're Fine, Actually. And that's all it says. People are resilient first and foremost. It doesn't mean trauma doesn't exist. It doesn't mean we all have things that we don't have to get over. But all of this like infantilizing ourselves, all of this like self-diagnosing. I ultimately, here's the thing. Ultimately, I don't think it's healthy to just think about yourself all the time and to like examine every nook and cranny of every part of yourself. Like, you're just not that interesting. I'm not that interesting. And it's not healthy. I think we really do need to start thinking more about other people.
But I don't think people are like actually properly thinking about themselves. I think they're just surface level thinking about themselves and then repressing.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. But it's like they repress the things they need to be working on. And instead they're like, I'm going to self-diagnose myself as being neurospicy, the most disgusting phrase on earth, for example. And I'm going to make that my entire personality. And I'm going to find
excuse.
Yeah. And I'm going to find a community based on that on the internet because I'm lonely in my real life. And this will allow me to excuse like every bad behavior that I have. So it's like it's like a smattering of like ill effects from this one thing. Well,
now that we live in a very like identity politicked era where everyone has a thing. This is your thing. Once you're 18, you can pick your card out of the catalog and you can like wear it as a badge of honor. And that's a get out of jail free card for bad behavior. So like you don't want to be like kind to your friends, you don't want to like do dishes or clean your house. Here is your mental illness card. You get away for free. You just are like kind of like low-key racist to certain minorities, and you think women are bitches and stuff like that. Well, if you're gay and a white male, you can like get away with that because you're an oppressed class. So you can be oppressive yourself because, you know, you got the minority card, so they can't be mean to you about that. It's homophobic to call you out on your bad behavior, and it's like ableist to call you out on not doing your dishes because you have dishes trauma.
Right.
So like these things exist. But also, they're not a fucking excuse.
No. And in fact, even if you are legitimately mentally ill, you're still responsible for the way that you treat people.
Exactly.
For better or for worse. It doesn't matter if you're bipolar or schizophrenic or whatever. That sucks. You have to manage that, but you still have to treat people a certain way. You know what I mean? It's just not an excuse. So that's our soapbox for today. Let's talk about the movie. This is
we had our bitching session first, and now we'll get to the
probably more to come based on this movie. This is a movie from 1975. It's adapted from the iconic novel from Ira Levin. This is directed by Brian Forbes. It is The Stepford Wives.
In the town of Stepford, the men are getting exactly what they always dreamed of, perfect wives, and the dream is becoming a nightmare for the Stepford wives. A very modern suspense story from the author of Rosemary's Baby. The Stepford Wives, about what men can do behind closed doors.
They were telling me about the men's association. Right now, it's strictly men only.
Not to mention that creepy men's association.
We should also add that it's adapted by William Goldman.
William Goldman, yeah, huge icon of screenwriting.
The Princess Bride himself.
Yeah. What else did he do?
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
That's right. And All the President's Men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's huge. Like, he wrote so many like books on. Also, like, I'm a huge fan of the Hot Rock. He also wrote Magic, Misery. Like, he is like especially like in the 70s, he was like the screenwriter.
Yeah.
He was like the Ben Hecht of the 70s. Just a fucking god.
This is a great screenplay based on a great book by the great Ira Levin.
All of them men.
Ira Levin wrote Rosemary's Baby, which was adapted by Roman Polanski. It's my favorite movie of all time. Mm-hmm. This is a very interesting watch along because it beat for beat has the same story as Rosemary's Baby. I mean, the specifics are different. You know, it's people making robots instead of a secret satanic cult. It's like all these. The plot points are different, but the beats are exactly identical. At this point in the story, a family is moving into a new home At this point of the story, they meet a weird neighbor who the wife spots as weird and no one else does, and they start gaslighting her. Like, it literally has all of the same beats as Rosemary.
Yeah, all the points where the husband says, "You should go see a doctor. I know a good one," and she says,
Yeah.
"I'll go to my own doctor." And the point where the sinister cabal comes into the house, and yeah, it has all the same beats, but it like kind of reshuffled in a different way, and
Totally.
like I think it still works. It doesn't feel like who's the guy who wrote Showgirls and Basic Instinct? Joe Esterhaus.
Okay.
Joe Esterhaus, like, there's like 7 of his movies, like Betrayed and Jagged Edge and Music Box and Sliver and Basic Instinct. They're all the exact same formula of like someone becomes emotionally or romantically entangled with another person. So another person tells them that person's not good and is probably a murderer. And they say, no, that I'm fine. That's not the case. And they spend the whole movie questioning as to whether or not they're a murderer or not. And in the end, it's always like, yeah.
Yeah.
So like Jagged Edge, is he a murderer? Basic Instinct, is he a murderer? Betrayed, is he a KKK member and murderer?
Well, a lot of people consider those 3 novels by Ira Levin kind of an unofficial trilogy, Rosemary's Baby, Stepford Wives, and Sliver, because they all work along similar themes.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Ira Levin as a feminist? Because obviously he was a heterosexual man, but he seems to really care deeply for the plight of the American woman based on these movies.
He does. I mean, it's very. I while watching Stepford Wives, I was thinking about like, what is it about Roman Polanski, who is also a heterosexual white male, who based on behavior doesn't seem to care about women, but based on the films he's made does seem to. And I think especially in the 60s and 70s, it was very easy to use womanhood and gender as an analog for otherness.
Mm-hmm.
And as a way of creating a paranoia thriller. So I assume that I know more about Roman Polanski than I do Ira Levin. So like Roman Polanski being like a Jewish person who survived the Holocaust, that like he could like relate to that in a more modern setting, and in a way that's kind of like toned down and like more realistic and like approachable without the like signposting of like, you know, this is about this class, this is about this group of people. It's much more like when you open it up to like the binary of gender, it doesn't have the trappings of like race or politics as much. There's of course like a lot of politic to gender and to presentation, especially in the 60s and 70s. But I also think that like the women's movement of the 60s and 70s was a huge influence on this.
Yeah, I mean,
era
this is
of writing
about the this era of writing. Yes, of course.
And so I think Ira Levin is a great thriller writer. My other favorite Ira Levin piece is the play Death Trap.
Death Trap, which is exquisite.
Masterpiece, which is more about which is about, you know, a woman being like persecuted in her own home, as much as it is about a sinister cabal of men, as much as it is about homosexuality, but from a different angle and different lens. I think that Ira Levin's connection to feminism and womanhood is more as a device, in a similar way that like Alfred Hitchcock's connection to like queerness is a device.
Or like how, you know, Tennessee Williams used women as avatars to stand in for gay men who you couldn't write about. Or the way that Darren Star did with Sex and the City. I mean, those 4 characters are gay men in the bodies of women, which is not a new observation. I think that's interesting. I'd like to think that he cares about women, though. And
I do. I think he does.
Yeah.
I don't think he's having people over to Jack Nicholson's pool to give them Quaaludes.
No, let's hope not. Well, in case anyone doesn't know, the sort of synopsis of this is a woman named Joanna Eberhardt, who's from New York City. Her husband has thrust upon her a move to a beautiful house in Stepford, Connecticut. She's a professional photographer. She's immediately bored in Stepford. All of the women there seem really weird and not interested in anything cool like she is. She meets a really cool friend named Bobby, who's also new to town. And she and Joanna start getting into trouble by investigating what's going on in this town. And of course, I mean, I don't know if you can spoil this Stepford Wives because it's so culturally ingrained into us. But of course, the men of Stepford are replacing their wives with lookalike androids that are, placated and docile and hot.
Yeah, they have bigger boobs. They dress like these men's mothers.
Yeah.
They are down to be groped in the grocery store and in the front lawn. All they talk about is cleaning products. They talk like commercials.
Yeah.
At one point a woman just says, I know I shouldn't, but I just love my brownies.
I love when Carol Fansant or whatever her name is drinks too much at the barbecue and starts walking around and says, I'll just die if I don't get that recipe. I'll just die if I don't get this recipe. It's so good.
Oh my God, those scenes are incredible. So this is a movie that I knew through cultural osmosis, right?
Right.
I did not see it until for this podcast. I've owned it. I've known it. I saw the remake when I was quite young with Matthew Broderick. I think directed by Frank Oz. Christopher Walken's in it and Nicole Kidman.
It's campy on purpose.
Bette Midler. Yeah. And I think that's the wrong move.
Me too.
I think 100%. That's a bad move. I think that's a bad faith move. I think everything about that update misses the point of this. That update also makes Nicole Kidman a CEO who her business fails, and so she just willingly accepts that. And so there's interesting updated ideas. Also Roger Bart plays a gay man of Stepford.
Yeah. Well, here's what I think happened. I mean, Frank Oz also directed Little Shop of Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he made a mistake, which is that he thought he could do that again. But the thing with Little Shop of Horrors is it's based on a movie that is actually bad. There is almost nothing there. And as campy as the musical Little Shop of Horrors is, it's still incredibly earnest. I mean, when Audrey sings Somewhere That's Green, it's devastating and funny. So it's working on two levels. It's people have this idea that something can only be campy or earnest, but not both. And I would point to Little Shop of Horrors as the counter example. That's something that's incredibly moving and earnest, but still really campy and silly. And so I think he thought he could do that with Stepford Wives. But the mistake he made is that the original material is really good. It's not a bad movie. It does have some camp elements, but it doesn't make it bad.
Yeah. And the camp elements make it fun and palatable, but also make it scarier or more tense as it goes along. I think, of course, it's been said to death, but the better inheritor of this has been Jordan Peele. And Get Out is the closest thing to a Stepford Wives remake that we'll get in a long time. Even kind of recreating the "if I don't get this recipe, I'll die" scene. Which I think is lovely. Again, Frank Oz is an incredible filmmaker. I mean, he's Miss Piggy, for God's sake. He directed your favorite movie ever, The Dark Crystal. I of course love Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and What About Bob? But I do think he missed the mark quite a bit. I think the comparison between these two movies is night and day, and I think the original Brian Forbes Stepford Wives is absolutely incredible. And also, Brian Forbes is a British new wave director who hit it big in the 60s with the L-shaped room and stuff like that. But I know him most from Seance and a Wet Afternoon.
I've never seen that. I've always wanted to see that.
Such an incredible fucking thriller. It's unfortunately not it's Richard Attenborough, and it's a kidnapping thriller with a pseudo supernatural quality to it. It's unfortunately a bit more of a thriller than a horror film, so I don't think it's going to fall under our category to ever like cover as an episode. But
Mhm.
highly, 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 highly recommend it. And watching, having seen that, and seeing his like more, like kitchen sink British films from the 60s, you absolutely understand why he's like a pitch perfect director to handle this kind of material. And the shot structure and pacing and editing in this movie is
It's
incredible.
very good.
Yeah.
And in some ways, it feels a lot like Rosemary's Baby. I mean, it's edited in some similar ways where, like, it kind of cuts out of a scene like a second earlier than another person might. So the pace is like
Mhm.
very kind of clipped and moves along. This movie hits so many of my fucking buttons. Like, 1970s paranoid women, right off the bat you get a flute score. I love a 70s flute
Mhm.
score. You get that curly Q 70s font that I love, that like
You also get one of your favorite things, which is like people from New York go out into the country.
yes. Yes. You get a photographer. I love
Mhm.
photography in horror movies. My favorite aspect of this movie is the performances, of course, from Catherine Ross as Joanna and then Pauline Prentice as Bobby.
Bobby, Paula Prentice.
Paula Prentice, thank you.
Yeah.
They're both so
They're
brilliant.
incredible.
And that friendship is so beautiful and so moving, such that when Bobby finally gets turned, it's pretty heartbreaking.
The entire movie, I was watching it with the just absolute fear for Bobby, because I know, like, as soon as she comes in and she's breasty and she's Katharine Hepburn-esque, I'm like, oh, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Oh no. And it's absolutely devastating. One of their final scenes together, they're in a car, and Bobby's like been very agitated for a while. And they're talking about moving, and she's like, "Well, you can't shoot. You've got to move too. You can't split us up. We're the best thing to happen since Laurel and Hardy." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, you two should do a lot more movies together." I
They're
want the Road to
so
series,
good.
but with Catherine Ross and Paula Prentice.
They have real chemistry. I mean, they're so
Yeah.
good. And yeah, I that's my favorite part of the movie. I could watch a movie that's more like Girlfriends, just about them being lonely housewives in a small
I
town together
know.
without the horror element, and I would be so happy to watch that movie. I
Their
loved it.
little like plan to start a little like women's club is so incredible. I shouldn't say like a
No.
little women's club, because like they'll have a little thing to do, but like they like actively want to. It's just them, and they
Yeah.
like have to blackmail people into letting other people in. I will also say the other person in this movie that I deeply love and doesn't get enough screen time is Tina Louise as uh
Carol?
Charmaine,
Charmaine.
the
Yeah,
tennis
she's great.
pro.
Yeah.
Oh my god, she's incredible in this.
Yeah.
And the moment where they're like actively like having like bulldozers taking up the tennis court is like really heartbreaking and really
Yeah.
actively scary.
And I guess that was my thing with this movie this time, is that it struck me as such a sad movie, which I
Yeah.
never really felt like it was that way before, but I got really sad watching this.
I mean, watch like the way that Catherine Ross talks to her therapist, it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
When she says she'll come back and she'll look like me, but she won't take photos and she
Yeah,
won't sound like me.
that part hurt me really bad. And this is an interesting element to this movie that I'm not sure if I wish it were different or not. So, the end of the movie, Catherine Ross runs into the men's association, and there is her lookalike android that then strangles her and takes her over. Spoiler alert, that's what happens. And so, before then, you don't actually know what this process is. And so now we know that the robot literally kills the woman and then takes over her spot. Would it be a stronger story from a writing perspective if it were more like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where you were still you but changed? And the reason I ask that is actually because of the husbands. So in Rosemary's Baby, it's really understandable why Guy goes into this pact with the satanic cult, because of course he wants to be a big famous actor and they promise him that in exchange for the baby. In this movie, I had a little bit of a hard time accessing why the men do this to their wives, because there's a scene where we, the viewer, knows that he's going to do it because she comes downstairs and he's sitting in the dark and drinking and crying. And I just thought, like, why is he doing this? He seems upset by it. So why is he going through with it? And I just couldn't access that. And I think what people would say to me is that the men would rather have these docile sex bombs than their actual wives. But that's so cynical. And I guess that is the thing. But that's just hard for me to access.
I think there's two elements to it. I think it's both very cynical. On the one hand, of men just want a fuck toy. Men just want a mommy to clean up after them, and then literally sex robot. But the other thing is, there's a scene earlier in the movie where he first goes to the men's club and comes home, and he's also sitting downstairs and drinking in the dark. And he's kind of been crying, and he's kind of very weird and clipped with her, and then he pulls her in close and says, "I love you, I love you," right? But and it also seems that this movie is implying that he is also under a societal pressure.
Well, yeah,
by
from
this
men's
club
association, yeah,
that he kind of doesn't have a choice either. That this is what we do, and they've kind of informed him about this. He can't leave. He can't say no, because then the collective is in trouble. And so I think it's a little bit of both. I think he does buy into the Kool-Aid, even though he might have a gun to his head. I do think he ultimately does it. I will say the robot angle is not super appealing and interesting to me on a narrative and aesthetic level, though I am very glad that, again, compared to the Frank Oz movie, we don't actually get any whoa, robot shots at any point in this movie. There's no the face comes off and there's bleep bloops underneath it and stuff like that. That's never that doesn't happen. That's
the scientific term, bleep bloops.
Yeah. In those the old movies when they've got the big computer with the square lights that go beep beep, beep,
or the fembots from Austin
Powers. Yeah. I'm also just outright thinking of anything from Inspector Gadget, also with Matthew Broderick. There's a fan inside of him and stuff like that. We don't get anything like that. She has black eye. The robot version has black eyes in one scene. And we just get the implication that there's a lot of tech companies here. There's a lot of that go into that. And we hear the kind of synthy soundtrack a little bit. And so it allows us to add it up in our heads, which I appreciate. It never tips its hands. There is the scene where Paula Prentice is stabbed and nothing happens.
No blood comes out. Yeah.
And then she also kind of glitches a little bit. But I think you're right. For me, my vision of this, again, because I kind of always knew this movie through cultural osmosis, my vision of it in my head was always that this was done through a surgical process or brainwashing or something like that,
or something, yeah,
or it's literally a lobotomy, something like that. It is deeply fucking that it's still your physical form, but there's something wrong and you are not you inside of your physical form.
Yeah,
I always assumed that it was something along those lines, and I do genuinely think that's scarier than a robot strangles you.
I do
too. The shot of the her holding the pantyhose to come close to strangle is so scary. Iconic. It's
whole
very
segment
scary.
Is really good.
But if we didn't reveal the robot and Catherine Ross just kind of screamed and looked terrified, and then we cut to the final scene, I think we would also get it and be terrified. I guess again, it's a metaphor, right? It's not literal. So we're meant to think about the idea of the the fear of like independent city woman getting married and moving to the country and losing her individuality to have no friends and no connections and no resources and just being a mother and a housekeeper. Like all of her interests and her like pursuits creatively and of herself are just like gone because she isn't able to anymore, and all she can do is talk about Better Home and Garden and make sure the kids have their PB&J as they go to school. And that's like,
Yeah.
there is a like fear of like identity loss to that. That's very real and very scary.
And it represents what women were really feeling. I mean, that's what
Mhm.
boomers were like, resisting against, was like the extreme banality of the suburbs in part, and like the pressure of the collective that had come to fruition in the 1940s and 50s. So yeah, I mean, it's like a very nearby metaphor for what women actually were experiencing en masse in America post-war.
I mean, again, if you think about like the vision of like 1950s America, kind of like we talked about on Parents, like
Yeah.
it's very much the like homemaker mother who's in the like big pinafore dress and she's like cleaning up and making a martini when father comes home from the weapons munition factory.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
and
but
like
half
those
of the
women
women
were
in
popping
America,
pills. And,
exactly,
like,
they were
yeah.
all drug addicts. They were all on Valium because
Yeah.
they were so desperately unhappy.
And we don't get much glimpse into Catherine Ross's family life in this movie. We only near the end of the movie find out that her parents are dead.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the feeling that like she's looking at a mirror of her parents' life when she sees Stepford. Like,
Yeah.
of generationally, this is 1975.
Right.
These characters are in their 20s or 30s. They would have grown up in the 40s and 50s. They
Mhm.
would have seen and experienced like this version. So it's from the like men's club view of this. It's that like, and I hate this fucking term, and I'm gonna use it because it's appropriate for this. It's that like revisionist fucking make America great again thing. Like, we need to go back to the way it was. The true American values, when women stayed home and did this, and when men worked at the robotics factory so they could come home and fuck a robot. Just like,
yeah. Yeah, I thought of my mom and her best friend Susie a lot in this movie because they're the same age. In 1975, my mom was in her early 20s and was already married and a mother. And that's just the way it was. And you know, there's a lot to be afraid of still for women, of course, like the loss of Roe v. Wade or something, but we've still come a long way. Women have still come a really long way. And so you kind of have to put yourself in the mind of that time as much as possible, because I think the easy thing for people to say on a podcast like this is be like, and nothing has changed, but that's not true. Like, things have come a very, very long way. We might have a woman as president in like 2 seconds, but you can still, they haven't come so far that you can't put yourself in the mindset of that time. You know what I mean?
But
It's not
it is
inaccessible.
also worth like reminding yourself about like the hardships that they went through at the time, both in context of like where we are now, but also like within the logic of the movie. Like, did she have no fault divorce at the time? Like, women only recently were able to have their own bank accounts. Like,
right.
By the time this movie was made, it's
well, and as always, it's classed too, right?
Yeah.
So like, she's a wealthy woman. A poor woman wouldn't have these problems because she would have to work, because it takes 2 incomes of poor people in the 70s to raise. Even in the 70s, it took 2 people who were making low wages to raise a family. So she would have been at a job, like it or not, and if she was a poor woman.
It's also kind of implied, maybe not with her character, but some of the other characters, that they are some of the women are from lower class backgrounds that just married rich, and that's the goal, is you marry rich and then everything's taken care of for you.
I kind of feel that way about Joanna and Bobby both. I kind of got that because Bobby's like, the first thing that she says about herself, she's like, "Hi, I'm Bobby Marco, short for Markowitz. That's upward mobility for you." So she like changed her last name so it wouldn't be Jewish anymore.
Yeah, which like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But you kind of also like get a feeling of that with Charmaine, the tennis player who's married to the TV executive, who flat out says like, I don't think my husband loves me. He just wanted a woman that looked like this.
Yeah, you kind of get a sense that maybe she was like a waitress or something that this executive scooped up and and married, like Don Draper style.
Yeah, and she fulfills a role for him, and that's her entire story. I think is like the most like telling core of this movie, because like that's what all of these men that's what in Stepford they just want a woman that looks like that. That's all they want. They don't actually love these women.
Do you know who I love in this movie is the older, like, journalist character?
Oh, I love her so much. It's the most progressive town in the county.
Yeah, she's like, we've got a black family moving in. Do you think that's good? I think it's good.
Well, I don't think it's good. I think it's natural, maybe.
Yeah. And so that's how we get the important information that's a surprise to Joanna and Bobby, that Stepford is widely known as one of the most progressive and liberal towns in Stepford. Because until very recently, it had a women's association as well as a men's association. So that's like an important clue for Joanna and Bobby that something is afoot, just as they suspected.
Stepford's also a progressive town because they were the first in the county to get a Chinese restaurant. Oh, ho, ho, ho.
I love that character. She looks just like Minnie Pearl from Hee Haw. She's just a delight. I love a crazy old baddie lady.
She's incredible. And then we also get the real estate agent for one scene. And we even get like after she kind of like walks away for a sec, we even get Bobby being like, "Oh, I love her."
Yeah,
she's like brassy and loud. Exactly. Yeah, I'm like, oh my god, there's like kooky old ladies like this. Like she's overweight. She's not like perfect. She's like, oh my god, like yeah, human beings exist. Holy shit.
Do you know what scene I thought was so interesting? Because it definitely wouldn't be in a modern movie. It kind of is a mini story that really serves no purpose to the larger story, but is somehow, to me, really beautiful and sad, is when Bobby has a theory that it has to do with the water. So they collect some water and take it into the city to a university to be studied by a chemist who happened to be Joanna's first love from college. And
who's also weirdly named Raymond Chandler.
Yeah, that's such a weird point. Yes. Which they joke about a lot. But at some point in that scene at the university, he says, "Here, look at this." And he's going to show her some numbers or something. But when she takes the paper, he wrote, like, "I'm not happy either."
Yeah.
So he's like trying to flirt with her. And I just thought that was such an interesting scene, because in a modern Save the Cat kind of movie, it wouldn't be there, but it gave so much depth into how unsatisfying these marriage can be. And just, it's almost like Umbrellas of Cherbourg or something, like two people who love each other that can never be together and went separate paths and are meeting for a single moment. I don't know. I was just so moved by that scene.
I love that scene so much because, again, it feels like the real world counterpart to what the metaphor of this movie is about, of the need for subterfuge behind unhappiness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not in Stepford. He is not a Stepford wife. He's at work. Like, he could outright be like, "I'm not happy in my marriage and like I miss you," and so. But he has to write it on a piece of paper and like slyly slip it to her. Like, it's 1975, but it's still like, you can't talk about this. You can't talk about, like, if someone asks you how you doing, you can't be like, "Well, I contemplated suicide last night." Like, yeah, it's a heartbreaking scene. And even when before they go to see him, she's like, "I can't call him up after 12 years and say, 'Hey, how you doing? Do you want to test my water?' Like, I can't lead him on." And as soon as they leave him, you can tell that, like, oh, he wants to go with her so bad. He wants to stay in her life so bad. And goddamn, would he be heartbroken by the ending of this movie?
Yeah. I love the character of Joanna. I mean, Bobby is the more brash, loud one, but Joanna's not a shrinking violet either. She really dishes it out to these men at various points. She's not afraid to speak her mind. I love/hate the character Diz, who is so named because he worked at Disneyland making animatronic presidents.
I was going to say, I love the way they kind of like make Disney slightly culpable as like a like even more looming background villain of this movie,
yes.
because they are.
Yes, Disney is an evil corporation, and I love how anti-tech this movie is, because if you're living in the 2020s and you're not anti-tech industry, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. But they are destroying America, and this movie is like 50 years ahead of the curve on understanding how evil Silicon Valley is. But I love when Diz meets her and she's in the kitchen, you know, putting dip in a bowl or something, and he's like, I like to watch women do little domestic chores, and she's like
that man
she hates him right
who
away.
only ever wears fucking turtlenecks and suits.
Do you know what, in my mind's eye, because I hadn't seen this movie in many years, in my mind's eye still, even having watched this week, that is Leonard Nimoy playing that role. He just gives such strong Leonard Nimoy energy.
It is, in fact, Patrick O'Neill from The Stuff.
Yeah. Another great movie.
We do get one big horror name in this movie in a very tiny cameo as Nettie the Maid. Dee Wallace. From
what?
From
oh my god! I didn't even notice
E.T.
that.
and The Howling, and House of the Devil. She's Nettie the Maid for Charmaine.
I did not notice that at all.
She has one scene.
Whoa.
It just, when the movie ended and the credits rolled, I saw I was like, Dee Wallace. Yeah.
I love
She's
this
the
movie.
best.
The final scene at the grocery store is so beautiful. We start
the
on
way
a
it's
black
shot
couple.
is incredible.
I know, it's just like on a glider going across the store, but we start on the black couple who's already fighting. You just want to yell out to them like, run, please don't move here. And we're just gliding down, seeing every aisle as women move in and out of the grocery store aisles. And we start following Bobby, who's now a robot, and she lands on Joanna, who we now see as a robot. And it's a beautiful last shot, very haunting. You get that very sad 70s flute score. What a great movie.
You love a flute score. You love a psychotic woman. You love a house in the country.
I mean, this movie's really hitting my buttons for sure.
I will also say, like, there's very few more detestable husbands in movies. Than the husband in this movie. At least
Guy from Rosemary's Baby is worse, I would say.
Okay. I'm going to make the case. I'm going to make the case that Guy from Rosemary's Baby is better than the husband in this movie.
Well, he's getting something out of it. He's getting fame and a career. This guy's not getting anything.
He's getting fame and a career. He's not murdering his wife.
Yeah.
And this guy is just like an impotent little can't stand up for himself piece of shit who is far more physically abusive to Catherine Ross than Guy ever is to Rosemary. Again, he never plans on murdering Rosemary. He just wants to use her womb.
Yeah.
Which is fucked. But also, and this is the most superficial thing I could possibly say, at least John Cassavetes is hot.
He's super hot, especially compared to Walter.
Fucking bald little Walter that I don't know how. Yeah. At one point, she's talking to her therapist about the druggist Frank, who like.
Oh my god, I love that whole runner.
Frank,
you're the best. You're the champion, Frank. And then he's like the most nothing little man ever.
Yeah, with that, like when she's talking to the therapist, she's like, she's such a beautiful woman, and he's nothing. And I'm like, have you seen your husband?
Yeah, it's true.
This is your situation.
It's true. It's true. Well, I love this movie. Anything to say before we move on?
I think Stepford Wives is a banger, and I think it is a dark, cynical crime that is now currently owned by the Squibb, whatever, the big pharma corporation.
It's so weird.
This and Sleuth, and I was telling Josh when we started that the scariest thing in the movie for me at the end was when the credits rolled at the end and it came up and then like copyright Bristol Myers Squibb.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh god, this movie of all movies being owned by a big pharma corporation that refuses to re-release it is so goddamn depressing.
My first professional job out of drama school was that I was the assistant director of this Broadway musical called The Light in the Piazza, which kind of only musical people remember, but it did win 7 Tony Awards and is like this really beautiful, very sophisticated musical. And the composer of that is named Adam Gettle. Really writes beautiful, difficult, complicated music, and he was working on a musical of the Stepford Wives that never went anywhere. But I really wanted it because he's like sort of the protege of Stephen Sondheim. He writes musicals that are like really lush and complicated and sophisticated, and he had a very earnest take on it that wasn't campy, and it would have been so good if it had gone further.
That would have been the way to do it. And like again, like hate that that's all tied up. Like again, like all those Bristol Myers Squibb films, Heartbreak Kid and stuff like that, all were licensed out for remakes in the mid 2000s, and almost across the board they're all bad.
Yeah.
And now these original films won't be seen again. Theaters can't get the 35 millimeter prints to show them. You can't get them on Blu-ray. They won't be in the Criterion collection anytime soon. Yeah, because this one, I think there's public domain prints of it that float around.
Yeah, it was not a good print either. It was like definitely an old print, not restored.
I have a widescreen VHS that, thank God for VHS, looks pretty incredible. It's like restored and it looks very good. But yeah, this movie belongs in Arrow or the Criterion collection or something like that. As does Heartbreak Kid, as does Sleuth, and unfortunately, unless a lot of things in this country change, that's unfortunately not going to happen, and that's fucked up. And archival work is very important, and making sure that we don't lose important pieces of art that are criticisms of tech and of like men is very important. I don't want Stepford Wives being replaced culturally by Barbie.
I like
Please,
Barbie.
God. No, like Barbie's good and fine, but Barbie positions itself as being more important than it is.
Right.
And there's something dangerous about neoliberalism being like, look, we moved one thing a half an inch and gave money to a giant corporation, so that's progress, and so you can pat yourself on the back.
I really like Greta Gerwig, and I really like all of her movies, so this is not a slam on her, but the original director or writer was meant to be Diablo Cody, and she at some point said, like, there's no way a Gen Xer could make a good Barbie movie because no Gen Xer could get excited about like a giant corporate brand like Barbie. Yeah. It's like only a millennial people pleaser could do that.
Yeah.
There might be something to that.
Anyway, Greta Gerwig, blink twice if you're okay.
So let's pivot and play our favorite game. Have they seen it? The game where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this movie. I mean, I just said her. Do you think Greta Gerwig has seen this?
Oh, I'm certain. I'm absolutely certain. Yeah, I'm certain that she had already seen this, but especially like in the run up to Barbie, I know she made like a list of like, you know, like Gene Kelly musicals and Jacques Demy films and stuff like that that she was watching for visual inspiration. But I'm absolutely sure that like she and Noah Baumbach would at least reread the book, if not rewatch this movie, and working on the screenplay for Barbie and stuff like that. Yeah.
I feel like I was just talking shit about Greta Gerwig, and I want the listener to know that I actually really like Greta Gerwig a lot. And I really
As do I. And she has incredible taste, and she's very, very talented. Yeah, I just wish that she was using her talents to make her little Sacramento films still, and not checks notes C.S. Lewis adaptations.
Wild. But maybe she'll do something good with it. There hasn't been a good adaptation yet, but maybe hers will be the one.
Maybe there hasn't been a good adaptation because the source is bad.
I know. I don't like those books either.
Anyway, speaking of that, there is another kind of rather contemporary movie that I think owes quite a bit to the Stepford Wives. In fact, I think Stepford Wives is a very big touchstone for a lot of like contemporary female filmmakers. If you look at Don't Worry, Darling, which is very much trying to be.
I shan't look at that, but go on.
Stepford Wives.
I've never seen that, and I'll never see that.
Same. The one that I really liked that did that kind of thing well and better was Zoe Kravitz's Blink Twice.
Oh, I really wanted to see that.
I think that does a like 2024 version of Stepford Wives very well in a way that is a lot more grounded and realistic. Some people have said that there's like a slight like fantasy or sci-fi element to it. I disagree. I think it's pretty grounded. I don't entirely love the ending to it. It does have a little bit of a like lean in ending.
Sheryl Sandberg.
However, I do think it's a very accomplished film and very much like in the like vein and successor of this. Do you think Zoe Kravitz has seen Stepford Wives?
My gut says no for some reason, but I don't know why.
Really?
Probably did if she made. I haven't seen that movie, so maybe that would change my mind. Didn't that movie have a rad title originally called?
It
like,
was
Pussy
originally called
Island?
Pussy Island.
That's a great title.
Which is a great title. However,
yes. A little off-putting.
For what the movie is, I think it's discordant.
Okay.
This is the weird time where I'm going to agree with an Amazon marketing team. I want to put a gun in my mouth saying that. That Blink Twice is actually a better title for what that movie is.
Well, do you think that she has seen it?
I think so. I think she's got pretty good taste. I did watch the Criterion Closet video of her and her boyfriend Channing Tatum talking about stuff. Do you know that they're together?
They're together? No.
They're together. Yeah. He's also in that movie. He's like the lead. Yeah, they're together. The height differential is crazy.
They're both really hot, so I love that.
They're both really hot. In that video, he's talking about like, oh yeah, when I like go to your parents' house for Thanksgiving, like you and your dad always watch Paris is Burning every year, like it's Charlie Brown. And I was like, what?
Well, maybe she has then. Yeah.
Maybe
she has, especially with that movie.
Yeah, I'm sure Lenny Kravitz has a copy of Stepford Wives in the home.
Do you know what surprise couple I love is Alison Brie and Daniel Franco? James Franco's little brother?
Franco.
Dave Franco. They're a couple and have been for many years.
For quite a while, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I sat behind them at a screening of Oppenheimer. She's very nice. I've worked with her before. She's like super, super, super kind and like really fucking rad. She's very talented and very funny. Really she's very cool. She's very talented.
Glow. It's my favorite thing that Netflix ever made. And also I love BoJack Horseman, which is weirdly the most realistic depiction of Hollywood that has ever been is BoJack Horseman. If you want to know, listener.
I was very depressed in college when that came out, and I watched a little bit of it, and then I was like, oh, it's just sad horse show. I kind of can't do this.
It's really sad at various points, yes. But also very funny.
Yeah. It wasn't for me, but I should. She's a very, very, very talented actress, and she does a lot of stuff. Are you asking whether or not Alison Brie has seen?
No. I don't know why I started talking about her. This person popped into my head out of nowhere. Britney Spears. Do you think she has seen this movie?
I don't think so, but I think through cultural osmosis, she is aware of it and knows
she knows
it.
The concept of a Stepford wife.
Yeah.
Like if you said, that woman was like a Stepford wife, she'd be like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, I feel like she would use the phrase. I feel like she's definitely seen the Nicole Kidman movie. I feel like she knows there's an old movie, but I think she thinks it's like a TV movie or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think she's seen it, but I do think she's aware of it. You mentioned kind of near the top of the episode the show Sex and the City, and the way that show was at the time written as like an analog for gay men, to a degree, and it's worth noting that her husband, speaking of weird couples, as the actor of stage, screen, and vehicular homicide committer, Matthew Broderick, is in the remake of Stepford Wives. Do you think Carrie Bradshaw herself,
SJP,
as Sarah Jessica Parker, speaking of a sad horse, has seen... That's mean. I shouldn't say that. Do you think that Sarah Jessica Parker has seen the original Stepford Wives?
Yes, and I think she really likes it. A couple things. I don't know what Ferris Bueller did to you to make you so mad, but you've really been coming for him lately on the podcast.
Have I?
Yes, I feel like you really hate Matthew Broderick. Is that true?
I used to really like Matthew Broderick. I used to like Matthew Broderick being in something was like a big selling point to me. I love Ferris Bueller. I love Election. I grew up on the like Inspector Gadget movie he was in, which is dog shit. But like at a certain point, I noticed watching like stuff he was in, and like also like the remake of The Producers was like one of my like favorite and most important movies when I was like a child too. I saw it in theaters and I would watch all the time. Something I like going back and watching his 80s movies and then like watching a lot of his like stuff from like the 2000s. I was like, at some point, like he lost it. Like, I don't know what happened, but like there's like no like light behind his eyes anymore.
He seems very sad to me.
He seems very sad, and like he's performing in comedies, but he's very rigid and doesn't really know how to move his body. He kind of feels like a robot. He kind of feels like a Stepford wife. He kind of like he was on Only Murders in the Building, and it was like, dude, are you okay? What's the matter? And like I had known about the like manslaughter charges. And like that's not great. But also like the family of the person that he killed in Scotland has like reached out to him many times to say like, just come here and apologize to our face. We will forgive you. They've been saying this for 30 years. And every single time he said, yeah, I will. And then still has not.
Yeah.
He's never returned to the country.
Would you?
He paid a lot of money to not to like get off. And so like I think he's a very haunted man.
Yeah. I bet.
I think he deals with a lot of that, and I think I don't know. I think there's something going on there, and I think there's going to be a documentary about Matthew Broderick in like 15 years after he's dead or something like that.
The other thing I was going to say about SJP is that someone said something really funny in like 1999 to me about her. This was when Sex and the City was first starting, and back then cable was like trashy, right? And it's like not a place that you wanted to be if you were an actor. And someone said about her, network body, cable face. I was like, oh my God, that's so mean.
That's so mean. It's so funny because I always knew her from that, and then when I started like really getting into movies and stuff like that, she would crop up, and the majority of the stuff that she was in before Sex and the City, like Ed Wood or LA Story, she's constantly playing just bimbo. Like every role she played before that was truly like no light behind the eyes, nothing going on back there, like just vacant bimbo. Every single role was either bimbo, mean, or both. And it's like very funny that then she would get that, and like that's still all she's doing.
She's very funny in Mars Attacks.
She's very funny.
But delightful.
Again. Yeah.
Well, in the 80s when I was little, she was often like a girl next door, like and Girls Just Want to Have Fun and Footloose. And I think that she's seen it. And I think that she likes it a lot. She has exquisite taste. There's nothing else to say about Sarah Jessica Parker. The woman has got style and taste.
Yeah. She and Matthew Broderick give me the vibe of like where they like, big like Upper East Side like townhouse living kind of vibe, right?
Greenwich Village.
Greenwich Village. But they have money. They are fine. They are like they've got a very like like put together like New York life. When that like big like Criterion like 40 film box set was announced recently, that's like Criterion greatest hits in a big box set that's like $600 or whatever. I'm like, that's who that's for. That's for Sarah Jessica Parker.
Totally.
That's a coffee table piece for Sarah Jessica Parker to have.
Totally.
Like,
yeah. She's all over that. She's a woman who's a bit like Audrey Hepburn to me in that she's a woman's woman. She's a woman that like women really look up to and love and men don't think about at all. You know what I mean? That's how Audrey Hepburn is. Like men don't think about her at all and women
really
adore her.
I guess that's true.
They don't care about her at all.
Yeah. Like every girl's dorm room is always that Breakfast at Tiffany's poster.
Yeah. SJP's a bit like that, I'd say.
Interesting.
Anyway.
I don't see it, but
that's it for this episode of Bloodhaus. Please rate it 5 stars or listen to podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram at BloodhousePod. Drusilla, where are you?
You can find me and my work at sisterhidedesign.com. Check back there literally tomorrow. This episode comes out on Monday. Check back tomorrow on Tuesday. Something big is coming. Something big is coming. Go follow and check my socials. Speaking of, that is you can find me on Instagram if you look for Sister Hyde. That's me. Go find me there and all of my work. Again, you'll find something tomorrow. Something brand new is going to drop tomorrow. And you can also follow me on Letterboxd. If you look for Sister Hyde or Drusilla Adeline, you can find me over there. And you can see why I drew a parallel connection between the Brian using the Stuart Gordon movie Dolls and Death Becomes Her recently. What about you, Josh? How can people find the picture-perfect version of your life?
I am at Joshua Conkel on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd. My gothic romance folk horror short Spoons is playing at the Big Eddy Film Festival in upstate New York this weekend, and then next month at the Bainbridge Island Film Festival here in Washington. So if you're in the area, check it out.
Yeah.
Next week we're watching something very different than Stepford Wives, and it's a rough one. What is it?
Oh, yeah. We're doing a roughie. This is like the kind of movie that when we started doing this podcast that people asked for. This is a mean one. This is a violent one. This is an icky one. But this is also one that's in the Criterion Collection. Mm-hmm. We will be watching the Michael Haneke original version of Funny Games.
Yes. Look for the 1997 German version. All right.
Or the Naomi Watts one. They're the same.
Yeah. Shot by shot.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.